This is Creating Your Encore Career and Becoming a Silver Entrepreneur with your host, Lynn Freest. Lynn will share ideas and expert advice from people that are walking in your shoes and living their encore careers, where they want and at the pace they want. You'll start a company of one with confidence and knowledge to live a fulfilled life of freedom and ease. Lynn is a coach and leadership consultant whose mission is to show senior leaders and experts how to start something refreshing and new after a full career in the corporate environment.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Creating Your Encore Life, so you can do the work you love when you want and where you want. Again, as always, thanks for sharing your time with me. So with an Encore Life, you can be creating value in the world beyond just winning that next pickleball game. You can live the dream as I am. And if you're ready to get started right away, please contact me at lynn@lynnfreest.com. Again, thanks for listening. This is episode 198, and the official title is 11 Steps for Your YouTube Business Development. Now, this is actually also an experiment I'm doing using ChatGPT to see if it can spark some ideas as far as how to organize my thinking with respect to building a YouTube business. It's something I'm interested in. I just thought I'd share some of the process I'm going through as I do this. I also put into ChatGPT, I said, asked it to use the summary of the books from two friends of mine, Mike Kim's You Are the Brand and Jonathan Milligan's Your Message Matters. So it said, give me an outline. I asked it to give me an outline and a long form post to build a practice plan to create my personal brand on YouTube. And it came up with basically 11 steps. Well, that gave me the basic themes or the basic topics. I'll be adding in my own thoughts as we go along. So obviously YouTube, we're becoming a more video type age, and it's interesting. People enjoy watching video. It's a richer medium than just the regular podcast audio, but still it's an interesting way to, again, share your message. You know, the first step in this is always you start with your why. So you think about what's your passion and purpose for doing this. Are you trying to inform people? Are you trying to educate people? Are you just trying to let people know what you're up to? Whatever it may be. But before you think about what you're going to do, you really have to focus on why you're doing it. And this is true in all life and business. The other thing is, I think it's interesting too to get into your values and beliefs. What are the things that, again, drive you? So it could be, in my case, I really believe that I want to help people who have a message but don't know how to share it. I want to help them do that. Or they are entering in this next phase of their life and they're looking for, how do I organize my life? Or how do I share it? How do I be a part-time consultant? How do I create a new rhythm to life over what I had maybe in the corporate world? So you really think about what it is you're doing before you think, you think about why you're doing it before you think about what you're going to do. But then as with any business, you got to look at what's your target audience. And it helps to do some market research. So in my case, I looked at a lot of different studies as far as what are people who are entering this next phase of life, what are they looking for? What are the things that they're concerned about? What are they hoping for? And some of it gets down to really demographics. Now, it's been interesting to me because as the second phase of life, it's not all the same for everybody. So the people in their 60s that are maybe contemplating an encore life, or the people in their 70s who are already in one but have an itch to maybe do something more, or maybe they're in their 80s and they're really not sure, or maybe they're in their 90s and they want to contribute, but maybe in a whole different way than they might have earlier in life. It's useful to really look into what your audience wants, what they're doing. And as with anything in any business development, it's always recommended you literally create personas. So it just helps to focus your message, or as you're creating your content or creating your consulting business or whatever it may be, you actually have somebody as clearly as possible that you're talking to. In my case, I'm talking to people who have had a long, successful career in the corporate world, and now they want to go out and do something different. They want to do it at their pace, work when they want, where they want, and do the work they love. It's no longer people who want to put in a 55-hour week, but They have things that they want to share with people, things that can help people, but they just want to do it in their own time and pace. The next item is, when you've done some of this, is what's your value proposition? So, for example, what set me apart from other people and there are other people talking about Encore Life or Encore Careers or next chapters. There are people doing this. So is there anything that I'm saying that's different than them? And it doesn't have to be totally brand new. The one I've always thought about, people have said, look in the bookstore at the cooking section. Everybody's still creating cookbooks out there, even though there's a lot of them out there. So the same would be true. Good friends have told me in the past, everybody in the world is looking for a voice that they can trust and know, and so it could be your voice. So it's not necessarily that you have to be entirely different, but you want to at least have your voice in it. For example, I like sharing things through the podcast. Sometimes I'm teaching. Sometimes I'm sharing what other people do. Sometimes I'm just sharing my journey. So it's one of those things that it could be any or all of these. You could say, I'm going to specifically teach in my particular subject matter. It could be that I'm going to share parts of my journey. That's what I'm doing in some cases. But the idea is, what's your value proposition? It's not what you know anymore. It's how are you going to solve someone else's problem or help someone else? And it's not just about, oh, I know these things. This is really, you got to find about what do they want. Next is establishing your brand identity. It's one thing to create it could be your name. I use my name, Lynn Freest, but on the other hand, it's more informative if I talk about whether it be the Encore Career or the Encore Life. That's what people will latch onto. Again, it's getting at that. What are they looking for? So when you think of a brand identity, it has to do with all kinds of, it's the visual representation, it's the audio representation, all those kinds of things are important. Now, I just got some feedback from Jonathan Milligan the other day, talking specifically about YouTube, but he said, YouTube is really a search engine. And I knew this, and so what he said is, people are putting in questions they have, something they're looking for, and what YouTube is going to return is a video that hopefully matches up to something around that question. To the extent that you have a channel in YouTube, which you will, but people aren't searching for channels necessarily. They're searching for help. You want to be intentional about how you create the channel and having a banner and a logo. All those things are important, but don't dive into the weeds on that for everything, because they're going to be looking for videos that help them. And once they find your video, they can subscribe to your channel very easily, so they can see additional videos. So anyway, it's one of those things where you don't have to worry initially about diving into the weeds on creating the perfect channel. On the other hand, you do have to think about content. What is your content strategy? What are the topics and themes that you want to share or talk about? And how do you connect those themes to what you're doing? For example, one of the things I share is the skills of emotional intelligence. Well, does that focus into the Encore Life? Absolutely. But I do have to draw those parallels there, saying, hey, as you jump out and try to interact with brand new people, you want them to hire you or you want them to listen to you. These are all skills that emotional intelligence will help. But you have to, again, whatever it may be, pull the threads of the many different things you may be doing all together. Then the other thing is the format and style. So especially in YouTube, there's a dichotomy. There's often a lot of videos out there that are 5 to 15 minutes. I guess from what I understand now, you may have created a 60-minute video on a subject, but they would probably recommend breaking that down into 5 to 15-minute smaller pieces. Again, people, while sometimes they'll listen to long videos, on the other hand, often they want smaller chunks of it. And then especially with YouTube, what they call shorts, and that's more about down into the range of 1 to 2 minutes. So again, you think about whatever you're talking about, 1 to 2 minutes is actually a fairly long amount of time for you to hit one point. But you can't probably hit 5 points in 1 to 2 minutes. So it could be that you take a longer video and take snippets of it and put it together. Now, since you are doing video, invest in some moderate priced equipment. I have a $70 camera. I've got a few lights. I pay attention to what the background is. So it's one of those things where you pay attention so that the video, and particularly even though it is a video format, pay attention to your audio. So I use a mic, and pay attention because people will listen to maybe videos. You could be walking around doing a video but what really drives them crazy is if the audio is not very good. So whatever you're doing, try to make sure also your audio is good. Now, one of the things you want to learn maybe is there's a program that I use that and others have been found very useful. It's called Descript, where it will actually, you can record your videos, put them into Descript, and it will actually transcribe them. And then one of the interesting pieces is, like many programs now, it makes the whole video editing thing much easier. And in fact, in Descript, what you're really doing, or often do, is you edit the transcript, and that will literally edit the video. So that's one program that I've been using, and others, my friends and colleagues have been using, but I'm sure there are many others out there. So just think about, there's things now that make video editing a whole lot easier. Now, there's still a role to have professionals do things that you really want perfect. But on the other hand, the informal video editing it can also be a place to start. Next, to talk about optimizing your YouTube channel. And with this, you get into the whole realm of keyword research, optimizing titles, descriptions, and tags. So those are all things that, again, you need to pay attention to. But mainly, I focus back on the earlier thing. Try to think about what people are actually searching for. So you search for what it is that they're looking for, include that in the things that you're saying about your video, and that will help them find it. And then one other thing that, again, Jonathan shared with me is within YouTube, they have a thing called playlists. And you can think of those as similar. Often on blogs, we have categories. So you may have a category around leadership, a category around productivity, a category around meetings, any number of things you could. Similar to that, you can use that in YouTube to create a playlist. As I mentioned earlier, you might want to take your longer videos and break them into chunks, but you can make that into a playlist so that somebody says, oh, there are 5 or 6 points that I want to make. And here's the string of shorter videos that you can watch the whole thing if you want. Again, apparently with the current algorithm, YouTube kind of likes the fact that we're doing a series of videos. So all of that can help you. Then we get into the whole idea of engaging with your audience, because really in today's world, you want to create relationships and community. As my friend Mike Kinnaman always says, is marketing is not about closing a sale, it's about opening a relationship. So you want to be able to engage with people. And it also makes a difference in your search and how many people find you. But more importantly, people like to know that you're responding to them. So if people make comments, be sure you respond, engage in some level of conversation with people so that, one, they know you're real, and two, they can start developing that know and trust. But sometimes you also have to be just explicit, and you don't hope people subscribe to your channel or your videos. You have to just ask them, please go to the lower right-hand corner there and hit the subscribe button. So sometimes people will be listening. So just go ahead and straight out ask for it. Then there's also things like, how do you promote your channel? So once I said earlier about the YouTube shorts, the 1 to 2 minute things, obviously that can be true. You can use those on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. You can do that very same thing with the YouTube shorts. So consider, how do you create quick snippets of things that will, again, be able to be used in other formats to help people catch your comment. Hey, that 1 minute was interesting. The link is there to jump over to YouTube to listen to the longer episode, and that'd be great. Use it that way. And again, Descript is a great way to do that. It makes it very easy to pull out chunks of your longer videos. And then data still matters, as always. And in today's world, with the information is available, is amazing. So you have YouTube analytics, can understand your user behaviors, their preferences. You'll see things like watch time, views, likes, comments, and you can get a feel for, okay, this video had more views. This other video inspired people to make actual comments. So that gives you insight too into, okay, what's the content that my audience or potential audience is looking for? So it really says, maybe I need to do more of this theme or more of this particular idea because people are really engaging with it. And then finally, your YouTube is not an end point. It's always evolving like all social media and all media today's world. So it's always going to be evolving. And so you want to at least be in connection with people that are, quote, the YouTube experts to see what they're saying, but also just flat out get feedback from your viewers. Ask questions. Hey, I'm going to do this idea. I was planning to talk on this subject. What do you think? And then experiment with other ways, whether it be the short videos, the longer videos, the playlists. Try different things and see what resonates with the audience and how you can better serve them. I guess wrapping this up, it's an interesting experiment, gave me some ideas of how to approach my development of my YouTube experience and the experience I provide to others. And I encourage you to try out things. YouTube, it's one of those things. So those of us who have been around a while, we like to make things perfect. But you'll find on a lot of people on YouTube, they're just making things happen. So it's one of those things where you don't want to wait for the perfect YouTube video. You just start making them. I just saw a note the other day that somebody who had committed to doing more on YouTube literally was doing something, and probably only a short thing every day, but they'd done 300 videos in 300 days. And I'm sure they're much better at it now than in the first couple of videos. And you'll find that too. And in many cases, that'll be fine. People will be interested in the current content, and it may be entertaining for you to go back and look at what was the original early content you did. The other thing is, whether it be social media or YouTube or any of these things, or even podcasts or blogs, consistency is important. People like to know you're showing up on a regular basis. Now, it may not be every day. It may be once a week, be once every 2 weeks, but consistency is important. People get used to listening to you. They want to listen to you, but they like to know that you continue to show up. Again, that's just a final thing. Consistency sometimes beats the fancier elements of media. So that concludes this episode today. Remember, with an Encore life, you can be creating value in the world beyond just winning that next pickleball game. You can do the work you love, when you want, where you want, and you can live your dream. So if you're ready to get started, please contact me today at lynn@lynnfrias.com or head over to my website at lynnfrias.com. You can check out a few podcasts and get on the email list. So we'll see you soon. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.